The date was June 13, 2025. The Middle East, a region perpetually teetering on the edge, was experiencing a period of relative, albeit uneasy, calm. Cities bustled with life, and a fragile peace seemed to hold. But that calm was about to be shattered. Without warning, Israel launched a sudden, devastating attack on Iran. Israeli forces, with pinpoint accuracy, struck key military installations and nuclear research sites across Iran. The assault wasn't limited to military infrastructure alone. In a move that sent shockwaves across the globe, the operation included the targeted assassination of top Iranian military leaders and nuclear scientists, individuals deemed critical to Iran's strategic capabilities. The operation, meticulously planned and executed, was swift and brutal in its efficiency. It effectively crippled Iran's air defenses and significantly degraded its ability to respond. The message was clear, a stark warning delivered in fire and smoke. Israel was prepared to go to any length, to cross any line. Their aim was to neutralize what they perceived as existential threats to their national security. Iran, reeling from the surprise attack, was stunned but remained defiant. The response was swift and decisive, a massive retaliatory missile barrage. Iranian missiles rained down on Israeli cities and strategic military targets. The skies above both nations transformed into a chaotic war zone, filled with the deadly dance of missiles and interceptors. Innocent civilians found themselves caught in the deadly crossfire, their lives and homes threatened. The initial Israeli assault resulted in a staggering loss of life, with over 600 reported dead in Iran. Iran's retaliatory strikes, while less impactful, still left dozens dead and many more wounded in Israel. The international community watched with growing alarm and increasing concern. The conflict was rapidly escalating, threatening to spiral out of control. The world feared a wider regional war, a catastrophic scenario with potentially global consequences. The attack represented the most significant blow to Iran's infrastructure and military capabilities. It was the most serious military confrontation the nation had faced since the Iran-Iraq War in the 1980s. This act of aggression opened a Pandora's box of violence and retribution, unleashing forces that threatened to destabilize the entire region. The international community braced itself for further escalation and widespread conflict. The question on everyone's mind was, which other nations would be drawn into this escalating conflict? All eyes turned to Saudi Arabia, a key player in the region. Would it align itself with Iran against Israel, a move that would dramatically shift the balance of power? Or would it choose to remain neutral, attempting to navigate the treacherous waters of regional politics? The answer to that question would ultimately shape the fate of the entire region, determining whether the conflict would remain contained or explode into a full-blown regional war. The stage was now set for a crisis of unprecedented proportions. A crisis that threatened to engulf the entire Middle East in a devastating and protracted conflict. The world held its breath, waiting for Saudi Arabia's next move, a move that could determine the future of the Middle East. In the chaos, social media exploded with a shocking claim: Saudi Arabia launches missiles at Israel. The rumors spread rapidly, fueling panic and speculation of a massive regional war. News outlets and governments scrambled to verify the story, but it was entirely false. In reality, Saudi Arabia had not fired a single missile. The kingdom was working behind the scenes to de-escalate, not escalate, the conflict. This misinformation highlighted the dangers of the modern information war, where lies can spark real-world crises. Had nations acted on this falsehood, the consequences could have been catastrophic. The real story was not one of Saudi aggression, but of Saudi diplomacy. The kingdom's efforts were focused on pulling the region back from the brink. In modern conflict, the battle for truth is as critical as the battle on the ground. Saudi Arabia's true role was about to become clear. While rumors swirled, fueled by speculation and conjecture across various media platforms, Saudi Arabia's actual response was one of measured diplomacy, a stark contrast to the inflammatory rhetoric dominating the news cycle. The kingdom publicly condemned the violence in no uncertain terms, expressing its deep concern over the escalating tensions, and called for restraint from all parties involved, emphasizing the need for de-escalation and dialogue, signaling clearly and unequivocally that it would not join the conflict, choosing instead to pursue a path of peace. Behind closed doors, away from the public eye, Saudi officials assured international partners, through discreet channels and diplomatic communications, they would not participate in military operations against Iran, reaffirming their commitment to a peaceful resolution. This stance was rooted in a pragmatic desire for regional stability, recognizing that further conflict would only exacerbate existing problems. Months earlier, in anticipation of potential escalations, Saudi defense officials had warned Iran of the risks of escalation, cautioning against actions that could destabilize the region, urging negotiations over confrontation, advocating for diplomatic solutions to address underlying grievances. The kingdom's efforts to mediate were not new. This was not an isolated incident. They had been working diligently to prevent this crisis all along, employing various diplomatic channels and strategies. Rather than fueling the conflict with further aggression or military support, Saudi Arabia positioned itself as a mediator, offering its services to facilitate dialogue between the conflicting parties, prioritizing peace over rivalry, demonstrating a commitment to de-escalation and reconciliation. This marked a significant shift in regional politics, signaling a new era of diplomacy and cooperation. Instead of exploiting Iran's vulnerability for short-term gains, Saudi Arabia chose stability and diplomacy, recognizing that a peaceful and prosperous region benefits everyone. By refusing to join the war and actively promoting dialogue, the kingdom played a crucial role in containing the crisis, preventing further bloodshed and instability. Its actions reflected a mature strategic calculation, a long-term vision. Peace served its interests better than war, fostering economic growth and regional cooperation. Saudi Arabia's diplomatic approach would prove pivotal in shaping the future of the region, paving the way for lasting peace and stability. Amid the turmoil, Saudi Arabia's humanitarian actions spoke volumes. With flights suspended, over 12,000 Iranian pilgrims were stranded in Medina. Rather than exploiting the situation, Saudi Arabia took responsibility for their care. The government provided food, shelter, and medical aid, promising to ensure their safety until they could return home. This gesture transcended political animosity, emphasizing shared humanity and religious duty. Saudi Arabia's compassion contrasted sharply with the violence elsewhere. The move was both a humanitarian act and a strategic display of soft power. By caring for Iranian citizens, the kingdom signaled its issue was with policies, not people. This act of goodwill helped lower tensions and reinforce Saudi Arabia's commitment to peace. The world saw a different side of the kingdom, one focused on unity, not conflict. Saudi Arabia was not alone in seeking calm. Other Gulf states, Qatar, UAE, Oman, quickly condemned the violence and called for a ceasefire. The stability of the Gulf, vital for global energy, was at risk. UAE and Saudi Arabia took active diplomatic roles, pressuring both Israel and Iran to halt the fighting. Their efforts were about protecting their own interests and regional stability, not taking sides. By staying out of the conflict, Gulf states preserved their ability to mediate. This crisis marked a strategic convergence despite rivalries. Gulf leaders united to avoid war. Their collective voice added weight to international calls for peace. The Gulf states emerged as indispensable players in resolving the crisis. Their mature, pragmatic approach helped contain the conflict. The region's future would be shaped by diplomacy, not destruction. As violence raged, the world looked to the United States to broker peace. The White House led intense negotiations, with the president personally urging Israel to halt its offensive. Senior U.S. The world breathed a sigh of relief as the ceasefire took hold. The crisis underscored the enduring importance of U.S. leadership in the Middle East. When the ceasefire held, a fragile calm descended. The true winners and losers became clear, revealing a complex web of strategic gains and losses. Israel and Iran emerged battered and isolated, bearing the brunt of the conflict's repercussions. With no real gains, only more trauma and mistrust, their positions were weakened on the global stage. In contrast, the Gulf states, led by Saudi Arabia, navigated the turbulent waters with astute diplomacy. They strengthened their strategic position by refusing to join the war, a decision that would prove pivotal. Their decision to prioritize stability and diplomacy proved wise, showcasing a commitment to regional peace. The crisis solidified a new role for Saudi Arabia and its neighbors, a shift from bystanders to key players. Not passive observers but active mediators, stepping forward to bridge divides and foster understanding. Their neutrality gave them leverage to engage both sides, earning trust and facilitating crucial dialogue, and shape the region's future, steering it towards cooperation and shared prosperity. The real story was not one of Saudi missiles or military might, but of restraint and foresight, a testament to strategic thinking and diplomatic prowess. The Gulf states chose peace, recognizing its enduring value in a volatile world, understanding that the greatest victory is not having to fight at all, but in preventing conflict altogether. Their actions set the stage for a new era of dialogue and cooperation, fostering a sense of shared destiny. The world saw that in the face of war and escalating tensions, diplomacy could triumph, offering a path towards lasting stability and mutual respect. The Middle East's future would be shaped not by rumors of conflict and division, but by the leaders who chose peace, paving the way for a brighter, more harmonious tomorrow.